Hello and welcome to the second Builder's Guide to Nuts and Bolts. If you've not seen the first one, there will be no doubt a link in the description, and probably a link at the end of the video. Now, if you're just here to copy my vehicles, my Halo Ghost will be dissected throughout the video as an example, so you should be able to copy it rather easily from that. And if you want to replicate my Naboo Starfighter, it will be shown layer by layer at the end of the video. If you want to skip the tutorial and go straight to that, there should be a link on the screen for that just now. Now, in the first Builder's Guide to Nuts and Bolts, I showed how to create and implement the hyperdrive glitch into a vehicle. In this video, I'm not doing anything nearly as complicated. It's a very simple concept, but it's a little bit difficult to master, and I have received requests asking me to explain it over the years. I suppose this is a tutorial on how to create hovercrafts without using the air cushion, although it does extend further than just hovercrafts, but we'll keep it at hovercrafts to begin with to keep it simple. And you might be saying, why would you create a hovercraft and not use the air cushion when it's specifically designed for hovercraft style vehicles? Well, quite simply, the air cushion is really ugly and really big, and it just looks like utter crap. And whenever I'm creating a replica vehicle, I like to achieve a careful balance between functionality and looks. If it doesn't look at least a little bit like the vehicle, and it doesn't work at least a little bit like the vehicle, I'll never bother showing it because it's not really a very good replica. And the Halo Ghost is actually the first vehicle where I started experimenting with hovercraft vehicles without using an air cushion, because I realized that to make it look like a ghost, you needed Banjo to be visible, and therefore the ghost had to be in proportions to Banjo in the same way they are in Halo to Master Chief. And the only way to achieve that is to find an alternative to using the ugly giant air cushion. It simply cannot be effectively hidden underneath stuff in a vehicle that's so small. So how does it work? Well, as I'm sure some of you have already guessed, it is, in fact, a helicopter. No, I'm not lying. See, right there is the propeller. This is the same trick I use on all of my vehicles where, due to their size, shape, or function, they're prevented from having air cushions or wings. So, to name a few, you can see this is used in my Wraith and my Star Wars Speeder, but also used on the larger flying vehicles, like my Covenant Cruiser or Tantive 4, or pretty much any of the vehicles that are supposed to look like big space vehicles, because I don't think they look like they handle properly when they've got wings on. So as I indicated at the beginning, it's a very simple concept, but it's slightly difficult to get right, especially the first time you're doing it, because it's all built on balance. It is a constant battle between the vertical and the horizontal when you're using this technique. Because it's using the propeller, it wants to go upwards, and you want it to go upwards because then it'll be hovering. But you don't want it to go too far upwards because it's a hovercraft, it's not a helicopter, so you want it to stay only a little bit off the ground. As you can see, this propeller is powered by 3 small engines. But those 3 engines are also balanced out by 2 sinkers. That might seem rather counterintuitive until you start to experiment with this. You see, of course the engines are to help your vehicle go upwards, and of course the extra weight is to stop it from going up too much. Now you might be wondering why you would bother putting in sinkers instead of just cutting down the engines from 3 to 2 or 1, because that would prevent it from going up and you wouldn't have to add the sinkers in. Well, quite simply, if you put a propeller in your vehicle, the game really wants it to go upwards, which means that if your propeller hovercraft vehicle hits a bump, it will bounce and sort of hang in the air for an unnatural few seconds. Therefore, putting the sinkers in serves the dual purpose of not only balancing out the upward lift versus the downward pull, or I suppose you would call gravity pull, yes, why not, the upward lift versus the downward pull, allowing it to achieve the hover position, but also means that if you do hit a bump and do bounce upwards, it pulls you down a lot quicker thanks to the extreme extra weight that the 2 sinkers add. And as you can see, this layer is also consisting of a mixture between heavy blocks and super blocks. This isn't because I forgot to update the heavy blocks into super blocks after I unlocked super blocks, but it is once again a careful balance between aesthetics and functionality. Literally, changing a single block on this vehicle noticeably changes the way it feels and functions because it shifts the weight. You don't want to change out any of the heavy blocks for super blocks because it makes it too light. And of course, the 5 lights you're seeing there are to give it a nice ghostly glow, with the one in the middle there to shine up through the window on the upper layer to sort of look like a shiny dashboard or whatever it is. Stripping it down yet another level, we have the ammo, the weapons, the fuel, yet another sinker, more careful balance between the 2 types of blocks, and the jets. The jets are where we come into the battle of the horizontal versus the vertical. You see, without the jets, it of course doesn't go forwards, but you don't want to have too much forward power versus upwards power, or vice versa. It really is just a balancing act, so once you build your vehicle, you pretty much are constantly adding and taking away things until it works the way you want it to. For me, on the Ghost, 4 jets work just fine, which is good because there's not really much room to fit any more jets on such a small vehicle. And yes, I do know that the jets are the wrong colour, but the large jets just simply do not fit in the vehicle. They stick out the front and look very stupid, so we're going to have to unfortunately deal with the smaller jets and it having the wrong colour. I think Halo 1's Ghost had orange jets though, so we're just going to pretend it's a Halo 1 Ghost, despite the fact that it's clearly modelled after a Halo 2, 3 and 4 Ghost. And if we strip it down to the final layer, we just have a row of super blocks to really just protect the bottom of it. I don't actually like the way this layer looks on the Ghost, but if you use it in races like burning rubber and you don't have the bottom on there, you're going to quickly find pieces of your Ghost break off every time it bounces on the ground. As I said, it's very heavily looks versus functionality. You can actually leave this layer off, and the Ghost will pretty much handle exactly the same way, because the entire layer is super blocks. It just really depends on if you want to use the vehicle in challenges and it to be effective, which it really won't be unless it's on large tracks because it doesn't have the best turning, or if you're only using it for the looks. If you're using it just for the looks, keep the bottom layer off. If you're using it in races, I'd say probably keep the bottom layer. And there you have it. That's how you build hovercrafts without using the ugly air cushion. Go out and have fun with it yourself. If you want to see more tutorials and other Banjo-Kazooie videos, or any of the other many stuff we do on this channel, then subscribe for more stuff. And stick around to the end of the video if you want to see how to build a Naboo starfighter. This is me stopping talking. Thanks for watching. I have been, and still am, Grim Grindle.
Don't